you ever cried at a concert? Who were you seeing, and what was the moment that tears started to fall? Comment below and Brett Kissel will tell you what concert he cried at this week in the Country Music Update. I'm Greg Reynolds. We shoot this out of Calgary, and it is Stampede Week, and I was talking to actually Brent Butt of Corner Gas fame about the new final animated season that you can watch now, and about one of his most vivid Stampede memories, and somehow, yes, it involves Bill Murray.
So I got to meet Bill Murray briefly there at the Calgary Stampede.
Did you really? How did that happen?
That's so awesome.
He was just standing there, really. You know, where they do the grandstand show is the same place where they have the chuck wagon races and stuff like that. And so everybody's in the grandstand watching the chuck wagon races. At a certain point, a tractor pulls a giant stage out in front. So I was there a bit early that first night, getting my bearings, and I just noticed, first of all, I noticed Catherine O'Hara, but she was being hustled off into a car and driven away. And then I noticed Lara Flynn Boyle, same thing. She was standing on a fence talking to somebody and then got hauled away. Then I saw Bill Murray standing there. He's got a duster and a cowboy hat, and he's eating fries and gravy from a little styrofoam thing. And he's talking to a Mountie in full regalia. So it was a very surreal scene, but I thought, I'm going to stand nearby, and if I get a chance, I'm going to say hello to Bill Murray. And it was a very kind of funny exchange, because when the Mountie walked away, Bill Murray had the sense that there was some creepy dude standing there waiting to say something to him. So he turned, hello. And I said, I just want to introduce myself. I'm a big fan, and my name is Brent Butt, and I'm a comedian. I'm doing stand-up here at the Grandstand show in an hour or so in front of all these people. And he said, wow, you're doing stand-up, and for how many people are here? And I said, like 20,000. He said, that's huge. You ever play in front of a crowd that big before? And we started talking about kind of the craft of doing comedy a little bit in front of big crowds. And then he stops me and he goes, hang on, what did you say your name was? And I can tell he's not sure if he heard me say Butt. And so I said, it's Brent Butt, B-U-T-T. I said, it's my real last name. And he said, well, no offense, but just as a bit of showbiz advice, you might want to think of changing your last name for show business, because what a lot of people do is they change their name to a word that conjures up an image so that people, oh, no, hang on, you're good.
Here's the thing about that. I think throughout Brent's life, having the last name Butt, you are the butt of a lot of jokes, but you kind of smile a little more when Bill Murray does. Speaking of Stampede, Aaron Goodvin is going to play his very first show back in Canada during this week's Stampede at the Wild Horse tent since the pandemic. His first time back even in Canada in about 2 years. And my new co-host Josie and I were talking to him about one of his most vivid Stampede memories, and it's something he saw maybe you do in the crowd. I'm hoping this wasn't you.
I saw a man get on top of another man. Like, what do you call it?
Piggyback.
Like on his shoulders.
Shoulders, like,
yeah, naked, full on, no clothes.
at Stampede?
Yes, back of
The
some
neck?
other dude's neck, just full on touching. It was I almost stopped. Like, I think I just stopped singing because I was like, what is happening? Like, okay, there's fun, and then there's like, I don't know what that, like, doesn't that take it into a land of like not being fun anymore? I mean, at what point, like, if me and my buddies sitting around, it's like, hey man, remember when you jumped on my back naked and I was like floating you around that crowd? Not cool.
Did
that
they
was
not get
definitely-
kicked out?
They might have. I don't know what happened.
I
I
would have had
don't,
to have.
because I'm sure somebody kicked them out, or at least told them to put some pants on. But like, I literally was like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a crowd. And
I
and
mean-
they were a ways back. Like I didn't. Luckily, I didn't see anything. You know, I didn't get a good view of all of that stuff. But there's been some pretty crazy things that have happened at Stampede.
You can just feel
is-
it. Can you
Yeah,
just picture how that would feel?
Ah! It's for me. Oh man, I don't want that. That's something I don't want in my life.
So are you saying we can't try that next concert we're at together, Aaron?
We can't.
It's me.
No.
I was like, no.
I don't know how you keep your concentration after seeing something like, is that guy naked? Fully naked? On his friends? All right, I'm just going to look this other way. And speaking of concerts, Brett Kissel will also be doing his very first post-pandemic show this week at the Calgary Stampede. Watch his social media feed for some of the fantastic visuals from that show. But he was telling me about crying at a Stampede concert. And not one that he was performing at, one that he was witnessing during the 100th anniversary of the Calgary Stampede and watching Garth Brooks, his first show back after retirement. Here's the full circle moment Brett told us about.
Garth came out of retirement to play the 100th anniversary in 2012. And Bob Doyle, who's Garth's manager, managed me at the time. And we're still very, very close friends. And Garth hit the stage. And when he said, I still get chills thinking about it. I kept the Calgary Herald and the Calgary Sun. I kept my ticket and I framed it. And it's a beautiful frame in my home in Nashville. And I'll tell you the story. So I have to stand up for this. Walked up on speakers. He walked up onto the speakers to be really close to the people who are on the side, like say section like 116, 118 or whatever. And Garth takes off his cowboy hat. I take off my cowboy hat while he's singing the song That Summer. I went to work for her that summer. And everybody's loving it. And I take off my cowboy hat like this. And I go like this to Garth. And he reaches his cowboy hat. And we touch cowboy hats. And I look at him and he looks at me. And we touched cowboy hats. And I looked over at Cecilia, my wife, and I started to cry. I started to cry because he's my hero. And I can't believe it. And I told Cece that day, I'm going to open for Garth one day. And she says, yes, I know, babe, you will. I know you will. And we hugged and we cried. And then in September 2017, 5 years later, I'm at the Saddle Dome, and during Garth's sound check, I would always watch his sound check, and he called me up on stage. He went like this. And I walked up to the stage, and he said, hey, do you want to jam with us? And I said, yeah. So he gave me his guitar, and I told him that story. I took his headset mic, and I told him that story. And he said, well, then let's play it. So I strummed a G chord, and I went, I went to work for her that summer. And I played it with him and his band to an empty Saddle Dome. And I got to sing that song with them together.
Did you get a chance to look out and say, I was sitting right there, and look at that while you were doing that with him?
I pointed at the exact same seats because I remember, because I've got the seats framed, right? I've got the ticket framed. So I know exactly what seats I sat in, and I pointed that out to him. And like, I cried to Cecilia, and then I'm like crying to Garth, and he's consoling me, giving me a hug, and I'm a blubbering baby. Yeah.
You can watch those full interviews with all of those artists, from Brett Kissel to Aaron Goodvin to even Brent Butt. Just mouse around on this YouTube page, like, subscribe, tell your friends about Barn 49. Until next time, I'm Greg Reynolds with another country music update.